Good morning, students. I hope so. Everyone is good and everyone is fit and fine. So, today we are going to start with another chapter, that is chapter number 10, Law and Social Justice, which is from the subject Civics. And this is going to be the lecture 1 from this chapter number 10, Law and Social Justice. So, basically, in this particular chapter, what are the things that we are going to learn and we are going to study are basically the social laws that are being made by the government for the people of India. But still, if we talk about implementing these laws and finding the social justice in the society, which is currently very much missing, like there are different kind of classes that we are having in our society, the higher class, the lower class, the worker class society. So basically the difference that we see here, and the if there are certainly laws that have been made that equality should be there, but apart from the law that have been made, the social justice is still very much far away from reality, which have been seen in your previous chapter. Also you have studied about this, that if when we talk about social justice, it is not at all there in the society. So basically in this particular chapter we are going to study about the different laws that have been made to implement all the social justice, so that people can get equal opportunities and they can come to a level where they can earn something for their own, for their livelihood, and which could just give them an opportunity to have a proper social status in the society. So today's topic that we are going to study will be, first of all, I'm just going to give you a quick introduction about the particular topic, the chapter that we are going to study, what is basically in this chapter is all about. We are going to study that. Then what is a worker's worth? So basically if you are going to talk about the working class society, how they basically work and what they basically do. So how these laws are important and how they need to be protected in the interest and rights of all these workers, particularly those that work on farms, construction sites and all these places. Then we are going to talk about the enforcement of safety laws. Basically how we are going to apply these kind of safety laws for these workers, and what are the different laws, safety laws that have been made for these worker class society. We are going to talk about that, and I'm going to give you one homework that you have to do for this particular lecture. So these are the topics that we are going to cover today. So everyone, please be ready with your books, with your notebook and one pen in your hand. So first of all, we are going to start with the introduction part. Do you recall the story of a shirt from your class 7 book? I just told you that in your previous class also you have studied a lot about the indifferences in amount that a person is earning, that you have seen in your class 7 also. If you have studied about the chapter story of a shirt, that is there a part of your civics book only. We saw there that a chain of markets linked the producers of cotton to the buyers of the shirt in the supermarket. So basically in that particular chapter we have studied that there is a chain of market that goes from the producers to basically the sellers, who are basically selling, or they are in the supermarket, or basically the people who are going to buy that particular shirt in the supermarket. So this chain is linked with each other. Buying and selling was taking place at every step in the chain, and many of the people directly or indirectly involved in the production of the shirt. So basically buying and selling was there in the entire chapter, that someone was buying a material and someone was selling a material, and they are having different kind of situations, different kind of situations and different kind of earnings that they were earning for themselves. So that was taking place at every step of the chain. Many of the people directly or indirectly were involved in the production of the shirt, and the small farmer who were producing the cotton, the weavers of erod, or the workers in the garment exporting factory faced exploitation or an unfair situation in the market. So basically, because there is always buying and selling, but if you have seen that there is inequality amongst the pay scale of different persons, like someone was earning a good amount but someone was have to face the consequences of not being not being up to the mark, because they are not like properly they doesn't have any proper knowledge about it. So many of the people directly or indirectly involved in the production of the shirt, like the small farmer that is producing the cotton, or the weavers of the rod, or the workers in the garment. They are the one who was basically being faced exploitation of the unfair situation in the market, because they don't have any other option, because they have to work for these kind of persons only to earn some or the other livelihood. So because of that, they have to be dependent on them. So that's one of the major reason why they face exploitation or any unfair situation in the market. Now, what does exploitation means? Basically, they are taking away all the basic efforts for them and paying them very less amount. So basically, are exploiting their efforts in a way which is not giving them much to do. So markets everywhere tend to be exploitive of people, whereas workers, consumers, or producers. So basically, markets everywhere that is possible, that we have seen that exploitation of people is there, whether as workers, consumers, or producers. Now, to protect people from such exploitation, the government makes certain laws, and these laws try to ensure that the unfair practices are kept at a minimum in the markets. So basically, if you go to any market, everywhere they are going to tend to be more exploitive of people, whether as they are workers, consumers, or producers. Now, how we are going to protect them? How basically we can protect people from such exploitation? The government makes certain laws, and these laws are basically try to ensure that these unfair practices which happen with these kind of workers should not happen, and they should kept at a minimum in the market. Now let us take a common market situation where the law is very important, and this is the issue of worker wages. So basically all these private companies, the contractors, the business persons normally want to make as much profit as they can. So if we talk about the big businessmen who are basically selling off the things in the market, so if we talk about their issues or their status, they basically want to earn a lot of money out of whatever they were selling in, and they want to buy all those things at the cheapest rate. So that's how they are basically earning the profit. So how they are going to do that? All these private companies, contractors, business persons, they normally want to make as much profit as they can. So in the drive for the profit, they might deny workers their rights and not pay them wages. So there are certain situations that happen in these large companies, and these businessmen also do these things, that they do not pay a proper amount to the workers who are basically working for them, and they do not pay them proper wages as well. Like for example, in the eye of the law, it is illegal or wrong to deny workers their wages. Similarly, to ensure that workers are not underpaid or are paid fairly, there is a law on minimum wages as well. So basically, if we talk about in the drive of the profits, they might also deny many of the times that we are not going to pay you. But in the constitution and the law, it has been mentioned that it is very much illegal or wrong to deny that the workers that they are not going to pay any wages to them. And similarly, because of that, they have to ensure that the workers are not underpaid or they paid fairly to them according to the law of minimum wages. Now, a worker has to be paid not less than the minimum wage by the employer. So, according to the law, a worker has to be paid not less than the minimum wage by the employer, that is written in the law system. So, a minimum wages are revised upwards every next year. Every few years it has been revised that this is the particular amount that you have to pay to your workers, and you cannot pay them you cannot underpay them. You have to pay them according to their pay scheme. Okay. So as with the law on minimum wages, which is meant to protect workers, there are also laws that protect the interest of producers and consumers in the market. So similarly, not only for the workers, the law have been protected for the workers, but there are also laws that protect the interest of producers and consumers in the market. Now they help ensure that the relation between these three parties, the worker, the consumer, and producers, are governed in a manner that is not exploitive. But merely making laws is not enough. Like, we are making the laws for these like workers, for these consumers and producers, but not implementing these laws properly is very much needed. So basically, merely making the laws is not enough. The government has to ensure that these laws are implemented as well. Now this means that the law must be enforced, and enforcement of these particular laws is very much needed in the society, so that they should get what they actually deserve. So enforcement becomes even more important when the law seeks to protect the weak from the strong. For instance, to ensure that every worker gets fair wages, the government has to regularly inspect that the working side, and they punish those who basically violate the laws. So how we are going to do that? How we are basically going to do that? So if we are going to enforce this particular thing properly, and the government should take proper action for that. Enforcement becomes very much important when the law seeks to protect the weak from the strong. So basically, the strong is the one who is going to exploit them, who is going to make them more weaker. So to protect their rights, enforcement of these laws are very much needed. Like for instance, to ensure that every worker gets fair wages, and the government has to regularly inspect all these working sites and punish those who violate the laws. So basically in these big factories, or in kind of an area where they are basically paid every worker on a daily basis. So the government has to regularly inspect. They have to go to those places, onto the working sites, and punish those who violate the laws. Now when workers are poor or powerless, the fear of losing future earning or facing reprisal often force them to accept low wages. So basically when workers are poor, they doesn't have any other option. They have to accept whatever amount the person is going to pay them. So according to the law, it is not fair, but they are very much helpless. They doesn't have power. So they are like, because of their poverty, and they doesn't have power, so the fear of losing future earnings or facing reprisals often force them to accept these low wages as well. Now these employers know this well, and they use their power to pay workers less than the fair wage that they are going to give them. So the employers does not pay them to the proper scale rate. So their power to pay workers less than the fair wage should be given. So in such cases, it is very crucial that laws should be enforced properly. Now through making, enforcing and upholding these laws, the government can control the activities of individuals or private companies, so as to ensure social justice as well. Now through making a proper enforcement of these laws, and making a proper use of these laws by the government should be there. And now how they can do that, how they can basically do that. So basically there are certain rights that have been written in the constitution, in our Indian constitution. In our fundamental rights also, it has been mentioned for social justice. So basically on the basis of these particular things, they are enforcing these kind of laws. Now first of all, the right to exploitation says that it states that no one can be forced to work for low wages or under bondage. So basically they cannot pay them under a particular limit. So there is a law in India which ensures that a minimum wage is paid to all the workers, and the right against this exploitation states that no one can be forced to work for low wages or under bondage. Now the constitution also states that no child below the age of 14 years shall be employed to work in any factory or mines or engage in any other hazardous employment. Now there are certain laws that have been made for that. Like many of these laws have been based on these fundamental rights that are guaranteed by the Indian Constitution also. Like for instance, the right against the exploitation says that no one can be forced to work for low wages or under a bondage. So under this particular act, you cannot exploit any worker there. No one can be forced to work for low wages or under bondage. Now similarly, the constitution lies down, no child below the age of 14 shall be employed to work in any factory or mines or any hazardous employment. So that is also written in a law that according to the constitution, no child who is aged below the 14 years cannot be employed in any factory or mines or any other dangerous employment that they have to attempt to do. So they cannot do that. So how are these laws played out in practice? So they are basically written. They are written down. They are basically noted down that these laws are being made for these people, for these workers. But how they basically play when they are actually enforced or they are actually in practice. To what extent do they address the concerns of social justice or not? And these are some of the questions that this chapter will now go on to explore the things. Now the first topic, that the most important topic in this particular chapter, is what is the worker's worth. Now what a particular person is having, what is the state of a worker, what is the worth of a worker in our society, what does that mean? So if we are to understand the events leading to Bhopal disaster, we have to ask that why did Union Carbide set up its plant in India? So basically there is an international company that has set up their own industries in India. One reason why these foreign companies come to India is for the cheap labor. So basically all these foreign companies, they try to invest or they try to open their foreign companies in India just because they basically get cheap labor here. So the wages that the companies pay to the workers, say in the USA, are far higher than what they have to pay to the workers in the poor countries like India. So basically if they are like opening their companies in a place like USA, they have to pay a very higher wages to their workers. But similarly, if they are opening the same particular company in a like poor country like India, so they have to pay a very less amount to the laborers. So that is the basic advantage that these foreign companies are having. So, and mostly these companies are open in India also. So wages that the companies pay to the workers, say in the USA, are far higher than what they have to pay to the workers in poor countries like India. Now for lower pay, companies can get longer hours of work, and in addition of that, there are additional expenses such as housing facilities for workers are also fewer. So the companies have to save cost and earn higher profit out of that. Now, how they are basically earning their profit, how they are basically making profit out of what they are selling off. So they are cost cutting whatever others like expenses that they are having. So cost cutting can also be done by other more dangerous means. Like how they are going to cost cut the things, they are basically making the workers pay less wages. So lower working conditions, including lower safety measures, are used as ways of cutting the cost. So basically they are making their workers to work in certain conditions where their safety measures are not at all there. So that there should be a protection that should be given to them. So and it can carry a lot of cost for that. But they are not implementing that because they have to cut costs their own their expenses. So they basically working in a condition which is not at all safe for the workers, but still they have to do it. So in the UC plant, every safety device was malfunctioning or was in short supply. So basically there is one example that is given to you in a book about the UC plant where every safety device was malfunctioning, like there is not a proper device that was working there. So they have to do that. Now apart from that, between 1980 and 1984, the worker crew for the MIC plant was cut in half from 12 to 6 workers. So in between the year of 1980 till 1984, the workers crew of the MIC plant was cut from 12 workers to 6 workers. So the period of safety training for workers was brought down from 6 months to 15 days, where they have to learn about the safety training for 6 months. They basically was trained for 15 days only. So the post of the night shift workers for the MC plant was abolished. Read the following comparison between the UC safety system in Bhopal and its other plant in the US. So basically what happened there, so at West Virginia in USA, computerized warning and monitoring system were in place, whereas the US plant in Bhopal relied on manual gauges only and the human senses to detect the gas basically leaks here. So at the West Virginia plant, emergency evacuation plans were in place but not existent in Bhopal. So why are these such sharp differences in safety standards across countries is there? Like in countries like big countries like USA, they also face the same thing, but they have certain safety measures so that they can basically monitor the system, and they can quickly, like in emergency, they have these certain plans in place where, like in India, they doesn't have that. So why there is certain differences in the safety standards across the countries, and even after the disaster happened, why was the compensation to the victims was so low? After the disaster that the Bhopal people have faced, while workers have faced, still the compensation that have been given to the victims was very low. Now, what was the reason for that? Like, one part of the answer lies in what is preserved as the worth of an Indian worker. So if we talk about the worth that about an Indian worker and a worker who is working anywhere abroad, so their safety is very much important to them. They are also very well placed, and they are very much paid as well. But in India, it is completely different. The worth of an Indian worker is at a very low scale. Like, one worker can easily replace another any point of time. Since there is so much unemployment and there are many workers who are willing to work in unsafe conditions in return for a particular small wage. So they doesn't know their value. They are like in search of any of the work they are able to do. So many workers are who are willing to work in an unsafe condition in return of one single wage. So making use of the workers' vulnerability, employers ignore their safety in their workplaces. So therefore, these are the particular reasons, even so many years after the Bhopal gas tragedy, there are regular reports of accidents or in construction site that mines or factories due to the callous attitude of the employers to their workers. That is actually we have seen that. Now, another main topic that we are going to study in this chapter is about enforcement of the safety laws. Now, because of all these incidents that have happened, the Constitution have written certain safety laws for these workers in the Constitution. So, basically, as a lawmaker and enforcer, the government is supposed to ensure that safety laws are implemented. So, it is also the duty of the government to ensure that the right to life guaranteed under Article number 21 of the Constitution is not violated by anyone. So what was the government doing when there was such a blatant violation of safety standards in the UC plant happened? And first of all, the safety law was were lax in India. Second, even these weak safety laws were not even enforced properly in particularly these particular industries. So what were the reasons behind that? Like, the government officials refused to recognize the plant as hazardous and allowed it to come up in a populated locality. So basically, it was the government officials who was basically supposed to like recognize all the safety laws, but they refused to recognize the plant is dangerous, and they allowed it to come up to in a populated locality. When some municipal officials in Bhopal objected that the installment of an MIC production unit in 1978 was a safety violation, the position of the government was that they stated that they need to be continued investment of the Bhopal plant also, which provide jobs. So it was unthinkable, and according to them, to ask UC to shift to cleaner technology or safety procedures is very much important. Now the government inspectors continued to approve that the procedures in the plant, even when they were repeated, to leak from the plant made it obvious to everybody that things were seriously wrong. So this, as you know, is contrary to what the role of a lawmaker and enforcement agency should be. Instead of protecting the interests of the people, their safety was being disregarded both by the government and by the private companies too. So this is obvious that not at all desirable by any of them. So which more industries being set up both by local and foreign businesses in India, there is a great need for stronger laws should be protected for the basic protection of the workers' right, and better enforcement of these laws should be there. Now these are the homework questions that you have to do for today. Question number 1, what does the law on minimum wages state? Question number 2, what is the importance of the laws that protect the workers' right? And question number 3, what does the right to exploitation say? So that's it for today's lecture. If you have any queries, anything that you are not able to understand, please let me know in the online class. I'm there to explain you each and everything again. So that's it for today. Please and thank you so much for attending the class, and thank you so much for basically listening to this lecture, and please take care of yourself.